Take control of your career and compensation right now. It's your 5-minute career hack.
Today, I am so excited to have a wealthy and healthy discussion with the queen, the beautiful queen that you see here on the screen here, Miss Dayna Marie. First, I'm Candace. I'm your career wellness strategist. I'm one of the co-founders at 5-Minute Career Hack, helping you pivot in your career, your confidence, and your compensation. And I have here with me my girlfriend, Dayna Marie. Dayna is a board certified personal and business credit educator, award-winning entrepreneur, author, and speaker. With her business, the Wealth Equity Network, Dayna has helped women successfully start, grow, and scale their businesses. And with her brand, Girl Boss Up and Lead, that's in all caps, y'all, she aims to create a community of women leading in their respective industries. Dayna Marie has been featured in several publications, but she says nothing is more rewarding than helping others win. I get the pleasure and the privilege to experience Dayna almost on a daily basis, and helping others win is something that I've seen her do time and time again. She's been such a blessing to me in my own journey, so I'm so excited to share her with you all today. So Dayna, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Candace. Oh, your words are just warming. I'm like, who that girl?
It's
Talking
nothing like
about.
hearing your own bio, right? Like, oh, is that me? Well, Dayna, we're going to hop right in because y'all know this is the 5-Minute Career Hack. We are no fluff, all action. But of course, I want to give Dayna a chance to give her own introduction of herself because nobody introduces themselves like that person, right? So Dayna, tell us just a little bit more about yourself that I didn't talk about and more about your business.
Yeah, for sure. This isn't new for me. I've been in the financial services industry over 20 years. And it's just a passion. It's just one of those things that I learn something and I get excited about teaching others so that they can succeed too. I have the theory that nobody should be, at a restaurant and only one person is able to really handle the full bill and everybody's fighting over, I only have this much or that much. My motto is all my friends need to be fighting over who's going to pay the bill because we can all afford to pay it. So that's just how I carry things out. And I'm excited to be here with you, Candace. Just super thrilled. Like, I love 5-Minute Career Hack. Shout out to you and the whole team. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, thank you. And I'm excited to have you. I know the moment I heard you talk in Mosaic Inc., shout out to Mosaic Inc. I know we got some folks in the chat today. I was like, oh goodness, I got to get her on the podcast. So this is just a live around strategic goal setting, and it's just part one. You coming back again? We ain't even started, but I'm already saying that you are coming back again. But I'm just glad to share with you today, and you share with us because you're the expert in financial literacy and all the things money. So I'm going to learn from you today, and then hopefully be able to share maybe one or two things that maybe I know, but I know you the expert, girl. So listen, I want to just kind of set the stage real fast on what this is not, because I know that many people watching have probably been through a financial literacy class, or they've done some, oh, let me set my budget, or let me figure out what I'm gonna do with my finances. And we could easily just do that. Like, oh, here's the 5 things that you need to do to manage your money. But I just kind of wanted to lead in with what the thing is that holds us back from creating sustainable budgets, that holds us back from generational wealth. And I believe, and Dayna, you can correct me or just feel free to chime in, but I believe that our relationship, specifically our emotional relationship with money, is what hinders us from properly managing our money and carrying out financial goals that last us over the long term, right? And so I know, folks, this is not the first time you're going to get some advice on this, but I'm really intrigued by a few statistics that I've been aware of for a while. And the first time that I created the Money Emotions masterclass, it was because I saw that direct correlation between how people manage their money and their stress levels, right? And so the American Psychological Association shared some research that money is a significant source of stress for more than 70% of individuals. There was a study by the Northwestern Mutual Fund that says 67% of Americans believe their financial planning needs improvement. So that's upwards of 60% in both of those statistics, where people are linking stress to money management. And if we don't heal that relationship, or at least I want to provide some tools to get people thinking about it differently so they can manage their money better, about healing their relationship with money. So I shared this statement with you last week, that my pastor said, and it was, your finances expose the priorities of your heart, right? Finances expose the priorities of your heart. So my first question for you that I want you to share some insight on is, how do you feel that our financial decisions mirror our heart's priority? And how can somebody link their financial goals to their core values that impact their overall well-being?
Great questions, Candace. I believe our financial health is directly related to the relationship that we have foundationally. Where did that start? Right. So we have to really, like all things, go back to the basics, the elementary, the roots. And for me, I believe those money habits start as a child, right? It starts with what we do know about money, um, as children, and what we don't know about money as children. Sometimes you hear parents say things like, we're broke, right? That teaches your child a different relationship with money, right? Sometimes you have parents that don't set limits, right? And that can also give a false sense of stability when it comes to finances. So I think developing those habits as young children, as young as a child can start believing, and understanding the exchange of what money is, right? And that can, I believe it or not, for me, looking back, I probably didn't do those things with my own children, but certainly with my grandchildren, right? They have a different concept of it. So those healthy habits, what are the healthy conversations we're having? Same way we would talk to ourselves about relationships in any other way. Money is no different, because money does evoke emotion. Money does provide a sense of feeling on some term or another. It does uh, ignite our senses in many ways, right? Um, so that is, how I feel about establishing those habits. We have to go back to the elementary, the root of where that came from, and sometimes you have to reverse engineer things and start from scratch. Go back to the basics, whether you like it or not. You have the opportunity to change it, to what it is
Yeah,
that you want it to be.
absolutely. Yeah, our what we learned, I heard you say that, so that's education, what we were exposed to by our parents. So that's why I focus on entrepreneurship with Riley. I want to and Levi. I want to expose them to that early, so that just becomes their way of thinking and their way of life,
Mhm.
right? But if we're exposed to this toxic money culture, or exposed to scarcity mindset, then that's how
Yes.
we're going to govern ourselves when it comes to managing our own finances. So definitely the education, the exposure, and then the experiences. And when I think about the experiences, when you carry out those, what you learned and what you were exposed to in your adult life, then you begin making these money mistakes, right? Like, and I think I can't remember her name, but there's a young lady who I follow in regards to money, and she calls them mistakes. Like, it was just your take on it, that there was mismanagement, right? And so some of those money mistakes that we make, we hold ourselves hostage. We fail to forgive ourselves for those money mistakes that we made. And then we repeat the cycle over and over again. And then you end up back in Dave Ramsey's class at the age of 50, like, oh, what did I learn? Like, where do I start? Right. And so I'm interested in your insight in terms of forgiving yourself for
Mm.
those experiences. What does that look like? How can somebody forgive themselves for that money mistake that made, or that mismanagement of money, so they can actually start to implement the stuff that you teach and all the gems that you're going to drop today? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. The forgiveness to yourself when it comes to how you may not have handled your money is huge. That is a huge piece of healing, is a huge piece of closing that door so that the bigger door can open. I'll give you a personal story. I can remember going back now, this is over 19 years ago, when I had to file bankruptcy, right? And I was so hard on myself because how did I get here? What were the wrong turns that I took? How did I and then, just having that bankruptcy title hanging over you on your credit report. You can't, make certain moves because you have that title. And then it clicked to me as I was navigating through bankruptcy court and going there with my infant daughter at the time. um, I I took it as two things. This is a learning moment, right? This is a learning moment. And the second thing that I took away from that is this is just a realignment, right? It's a reset. So I no longer felt that heaviness, the weight, the curse, the word is so demeaning. I didn't feel that anymore. So you have to, number one, you look at things. Number one, I always say this: time is a resource we cannot get back, right?
You preaching.
But money is energy. You call it to you when you want it, right? And sometimes we have to realize that money has to march out. My granddad used to say, my money gotta, when it march out, it better march back with friends, right? So sometimes, even in your feeling like you've lost that money, sometimes you have to release that energy for it to come back to you. And forgiving yourself is a part of just elevation. Forgiving yourself for your money mistakes is just, okay, I hopefully have learned the lesson. And even if you haven't and you have to repeat the lesson, there might be a little piece in there that you just got to go back and rewrite that piece of the story. But it doesn't mean that you can't change your money picture. The picture you have today is just that. The picture you have today it doesn't have to be your forever story. So that's how I feel about that. And forgiveness on that level is huge.
Yeah.
Because if you don't forgive yourself, then you're not opening yourself up to what's coming next.
Absolutely.
So
no, that was a perfect response. And I love how it's just a new chapter. Like it's going to inform how you move forward. But what I just kept thinking while you were talking was, like, okay, you mismanaged the money, but you're still alive. Like you get a chance to try. You get a chance to try again. So God forgave you for mismanaging the money. So why
yes.
not forgive yourself, right? So that you can create a new foundation and again, let it inform how you manage money in the future. So no, I love that response. I know that wasn't something that we had planned to talk about, but I just thought about it because there's different ways of that, this poor relationship with money comes to fruition in our lives. It's, impulse spending and even avoiding financial responsibilities, comfort spending, retail therapy.
How about not spending? How about holding on to your purse
that
so tight because you
clutch
have money hurt?
that part.
Right?
That part. Yeah, that's those investment decisions, choosing not to invest or pulling out from stuff so fast because you're afraid of the risk. So you're letting fear lead you. And then, when you look at research, more than 50% of marriages even break up because of
Yes.
the poor relationship with money and not being able to communicate about it. And so, again, I know this research exists because it happens to a lot of people, but I still find it interesting that 60+% of people are still stressed out over money. So we still got some gaps to close. Hopefully we close some of those gaps for folks today. But I think, we talked a little bit about this morning, and it was habits, right? And so I think behavior change after that forgiveness complete, we're going to cross them over into the abundance mindset as we talk today. But when we're looking to make a behavior change or to debunk things that we believe, we have to explore our habits, right? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm a send it over to you because I'm very interested in, we call them hacks. I know it says tips, right? When people ask for questions, but I want you to share some hacks with those watching today about identifying and breaking poor money habits that's holding people back from financial wellness. So what are some of those hacks to identify and break those poor money habits if you were counseling the audience today?
Well, one of the things you just mentioned, mindless spending, that impulse buying, right? That is absolutely a habit that's developed. I had that habit, Candace,
Me too.
even as a little kid,
Sometimes I
because
still struggle with it too.
right. It's one of those things where, no one really ever told me no, right? So I never really felt like there was a budget to follow or a cap on what I needed to spend. So I would say the first thing is really acknowledging how you're using your money. Where's your money going? One of the things that hurts us in doing that today is because we use a lot of plastic, right? We don't really have to be mindful when we pull out the card. So one of the habits that I always recommend, especially if you're getting back on track, even if you are going to use your debit card, get in the habit of also using the old transaction book, right? That old bank book, that old transaction book that comes with your checking account.
Yeah.
And even if it's only to get in the habit of writing down where your money is going. Sometimes we don't think about that $5 cup of coffee coming out of our account every day, right? Because we know the money is there. But when you add that up over the 52 weeks, and you're like, oh, I spent this much in coffee in a year, you have a reality check. And I'm not knocking, if coffee is your thing, then spend where you want to spend. But it develops the habit of knowing where your money is going, which is huge. You have to know where the money is going. If you are getting a paycheck and all of that paycheck is going into one account, right? And you've not developed the habit of saying, this is where I designate my money to go, which is also a habit. So habit number 2, designating where you want your money to go, right? Then you will become a mindless spender, because I don't have to designate where it goes. If I want to buy this, then I buy it, right? That causes you to be compulsive. The other thing that I would say, in addition to using that transaction book, get real plain and simple. I never recommend one account to, clients or mentees. You should have checking accounts and savings accounts that are designated for specific things, and they should not all be at the same bank, right? So that's just another habit. So when we think about, what are the things that are essential? We have a household account, right? So that household account handles everything that has to do with your financial well-being at home, your rent, your mortgage, your utilities, whatever those things are. All of that comes out of your house account. Of course, you want to have your savings account, right? And in my opinion, before you pay those other things, you need to pay you at least 10%. That's another habit, right? Another hack. Paying yourself. So that savings account. And then you should have a separate savings account that is for your entertainment, something totally separate. Maybe I want to take a trip. Maybe I want to have what do they call it now? Uh, the date the date night
Oh yeah.
schedule,
Yeah.
right? So maybe I need to go to on a date every 7 days with my
Yeah.
significant other, right? Maybe I need to take a trip every 7 months with my significant other. That's what that entertainment account is for. And then a totally separate savings account for your goals and ambitions, right? So you have a rainy day savings and a savings account for your goals and ambitions. These are just a few minor habits that if we can, get back into really writing it down and seeing it, it makes a big difference because then you're just not mindlessly and, just not thinking about where your money is going.
Right.
The biggest hack is at the end of the month, add it all up.
Come on.
See how it's working out. Where can you make some changes or adjustments? Positive, I can add some more money here. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's I spent too much money here. But the whole thing is you've realized now where your money is going and you get to decide how you want to designate it. Remember I said when your money marches out, it should march back with friends. So are you allowing your money to march back with friends? What is the return that you're getting from whatever that is that you're spending on? And is it worth the return of your expectation? So I think those are the few hacks that I would
Love
share.
it. That might have been 5. You right on 5-minute career hack. You in our lane with the 5. You might have did that. All right. Well, I'm definitely gonna make sure we come and put that in the show notes because I think those were amazing hacks. And what I was thinking about while you were talking was order. The order in which we do those things that you just talked about. So sometimes we'll find ourselves and others, because I'm always talking about me. I say that every episode, so y'all should get it by now. But we find ourselves savoring and going on date night before we've taken care of the daily habit of checking your coins, adding up the money at the end of the month. We're doing that after we went and spent all the money on our heart's desires, right? And when I was listening to you talk, I was like, man, this is the perfect order in which she's saying this. I want to make sure that I capture it in the notes in that order because I think it's got to be that way, or else you'll find yourself in another money mistake that you got to forgive yourself from. And you will still make money mistakes. I know we're going to still make them, but you'll find yourself
Absolutely.
in that place where you're making yourself feel guilty for the mismanagement of money when it's not done in that order. Rachel Rogers, which I think you've heard me talk about her before, she has like the millionaire habits. And one of the millionaire habits is check your coins every day. I think it's the seven daily habits. Balancing that
Yeah,
checkbook. I know we don't have a checkbook, but if you're looking at every single account you have every day and you know what's going in and what's coming out, then it's going to inform the way that you manage your money. So I think you share some phenomenal hacks on
thank
identifying those
you.
habits. And again, if you do it in that order, I believe that's the key to getting to the financial wellness that you desire and that you deserve. So I want to talk about some myths because we're gonna end today with um some steps because we want to make sure we give the practical steps. But sometimes outside of the poor relationship with money, the poor habits with money, there's these things that we've heard about money that informs the way that we manage it as well. And it's these myths. So I was like, Dayna, let's bust some of these myths that are out
Let's be
there.
Mythbusters.
we should have wore a
Yes.
t-shirt that said Mythbusters today.
Mythbusters.
But it's really what they are just common misconceptions about money. And I want to just share a few of them and get your take on it. Or if you hear a few that you want to that I didn't say that you want to share, feel free to do so. But there's the myth of money doesn't affect my happiness. I don't need money to be happy. I don't need a budget. I don't make enough to budget. Only wealthy people can invest. Debt is bad. I'm too young to start saving. I'm too old to start saving. I was actually on a money emotions class, and a
Mm.
young lady was like, I'm 60 something and it's too late for all that, right? And I got a thought on that. I'm gonna pass it to you here. But see, that's just some of the myths that I've heard. What's your take on how people can debunk some of those myths? And I know this will probably lead us into those steps of financial planning. But just talk to me a little bit about that, like those myths that you heard. Add some if you want, and then how can people start to think differently about the things that they've heard that's informing the way that they manage money?
I might need you to recap, but let me start here. Number one, we're never too old to start saving. We're never too old to set a money goal. Um, of course, depending on where you are at any given point in your life, the way you're going to save is going to look very different, right? But we're never too old to start saving. The other one that I heard you say is that I don't have enough money to budget. If you got a penny,
Come on.
if you got a penny, you better tell that penny where you want it to go. A budget is just telling your money where you are designating it to go. That's all it is. So if I get to say to my money, I want you to go here, and my expectation when you go here, that's how you have to talk to your money, right? You got to be real gangster with your money. So I don't care if it's a penny. Designate that penny where you want it to go. You might want that penny to go to some growth opportunity, right? That's you budgeting where that money is going. Um, Tell me one of the other ones you mentioned, Candace.
So since you're the credit fix chick, here's one. Credit cards are always bad.
Uh,
People think that
that
credit
is
card use is harmful to financial health.
okay. So this one, I'm so glad you picked this one because
I purposely waited because I was like, I'm gonna end with this one so she could dive in.
this is one of the biggest myths out there. Of course, this. Let's get to the root of where this came from. Number one, credit cards kind of came on the scene somewhere about 1970s or so, right? Based on that, that tells me that the people that were using credit at that time were probably like our great grandparents, our grandparents, so on and so forth, which means they came out of a different era. You use that type of money for emergencies, right? How many of us have heard that? You only use credit for emergencies.
Yeah.
My granddad taught me the same thing. But what I learned was credit is not just for emergencies, right? As a matter of fact, credit gives you advantage. It is other people's money. Depending on how well your credit profile, your credit picture looks, using a credit card to buy something like, an investment property, that's a good look.
Yeah.
Right? That's a good look because now I don't have to use my cash money, right? I'm freeing up where I can invest my cash money and I'm using other people's money, that credit card or other credit engines, to do what? Buy something that's going to bring me additional returns on my investment. We just have to get savvy on how we're using credit, be educated on how we're using credit, and certainly don't let that myth keep us from leveraging it for those bigger things out there. Certainly, we don't want to use it for things that, don't really bring us
out of order.
real return. But that is one of the biggest myths that we can certainly go ahead and debunk that one.
Yes. And actually, when you were answering the last question, I was like on my phone trying to find the Girl Boss Up and Lead podcast because you have a couple of specific episodes about business credit, and you also have one about when you talked about the habits around opening up your different kind of checking accounts and banking accounts, right? And so I just wanted to use this opportunity to point people in that direction. We're going to pause before we go to the next topic, but tell us more about your podcast and what people can go and find out some of the stuff that you're talking about today. Tell us a little bit about Girl Boss Up and Lead, because it's you. I mean, these hacks are there. I'm saying this
Yeah.
because the information is out there. Like, we're sharing it right now, but the information is accessible to you on the 5 Minute Career Hack podcast and Girl Boss Up and Lead. So give us a quick rundown, and then I'll segue us to the next one after you tell us.
Yeah, that's what I love about the season that we're in today. There's still a lot of education in books. I'm a forever learner. But Girl Boss Up and Lead gives you those bite-sized pieces that you need to make wise financial decisions as women. We talk about, the importance of credit, and we get into some deeper dives about just the conversations around credit. What does credit mean for you? Right? So we talk about a lot of those things. We also talk about business credit, one of those other opportunities of leveraging other people's money, I like to say, for your business, because there is a difference. A lot of people, Candace, when they first started hearing about credit, we only knew about consumer credit, right? The doors weren't open for many of us when it came to business credit, right? We didn't know that, I can borrow money that way, even if I don't really have the business established yet to establish the business. So we go into those conversations, the tools, the tricks, the resources, all of the elements, secret sauce that you need to really leverage other people's money that way for yourself, for your business. On Girl Boss Up and Lead, leverage, elevate, accelerate, and dominate. And we do that together so we can all win.
Yes. Put that in the chat. Leverage, elevate, accelerate, and dominate. Yes, dominate. And y'all know Dayna already told us what she's about. She is about helping other people win. And when I listened to the podcast, I was like, if I had this like 3.5 years ago, it would have been a life-changing experience. But to that myth that we talked about debunking, it's never too late to go and listen to the podcast and get the gems, the knowledge, and the tools. And stay right here, because we're going to keep talking about, now we've talked about money relationships. We're going to keep talking about some clear steps that you can take to set money resolutions in 2024 that are going to work, that are going to sustain. And we want everybody watching this to be doing it differently. And so we came in with talking about the money emotions and our relationship with money. We debunked some myths. We talked about some habits. And I think for me, everything that we are talking about is directly linked to our mindset, right? And so I mentioned it a little bit a few minutes ago, and it was the scarcity mindset. And so if we're operating in a scarcity mindset, then we're going to manage our money that way. But if we operate in the abundance mindset, then, or the sufficiency mindset, then we operate our money that way. So it's all about our thinking, like I mentioned earlier. And we do have to change our thinking in order to move past the toxicity that culture has produced around money, right? It's guiding our decisions. It's made us greedy. We're comparing ourselves to each other because of money. And we get to this place where we think that money is just more important than life itself, right? Because we place such a high value on it. But I think shifting into a mindset of abundance or sufficiency is one of the things that I want to chat with you about today. So talk a little bit to us, and I need this for myself too, because you still healing me today. How can we cultivate an abundance mindset in our approach to money?
That's a loaded question, because I think in order to have that type of approach, you've got to be willing to let go of how you think about money now, right? You got to be willing to say, I don't like the relationship I have with money right now. And you also have to affirm the relationship that you do want with money, right? I want money to come to me easily. I want money to come to me fast. I want money to love me. I want it to last. Whatever that affirmation is that you have to have with that abundance mindset and efficiency. I want my money to last. I want money to last. I want money to last. And then you have to also call it, where do you want it to last for? What would it, again, I will always go back to this, because let's just be honest. Money does not like to sit.
That's a bar.
Money does not like to sit. Money likes to grow and be multiplied. Money is math, right? Money does not like to be stagnant. It doesn't like to not flow. It is an energy. So in order to have an abundance mindset about your money, you've got to first let go of your insufficient mindset about your money. If you feel like you've got to hold on to your wallet all the time before you make a financial decision, you've got to understand, is that working for you? And if you feel it is working for you, then show yourself the proof that it's working.
That evidence, yeah.
Right? That don't lie. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you said it.
So the mindset around money has to be that it is free flowing and money will always come to me. One thing for sure, two things for certain. Even if you are starting from zero, money is never going out of business.
Come on.
You just got to find out how to get it to come to your address.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
And that's it.
Yes.
So your money mindset can't be, oh, I'm depressed. I don't have no money in my pocket. It can't be, oh, I'm broke. Like, what is the language that you're speaking to your money? So even on the days that you only have a penny, you got to say, this is the best penny I ever had. I'm going to make this penny grow. This penny about to march back with some friends. And that's just how you have to feel about it. Candace, I've been wealthy. I've been broke, baby. But one thing for sure, I know that I'm never without money. I'm never without money.
Love it.
Right? It just has to circle back around to my address. So you have to keep an abundance mindset. And then the sufficiency piece of it is, how do I maintain and grow? You definitely don't want to mishandle it, right? So you have to have that conversation with your money. You know, you have to really, it's a relationship, right? It's almost like when you starting from rock bottom and you're just getting back into your money game, you get to tell the relationship what you want it to look like. You get to paint the picture for your relationship, right? Listen, girl, this time we're going to do it like this. And that's just how you have to talk to your money. It's like, people don't think of money as a living, breathing thing. It is.
It's like water.
It's like water. It's like air, right? And honestly, if it's not growing, it's dying.
Preach.
So for me, having the mindset that no matter where I got to start from today, it's some dollars out there with my name on it. I just got to make sure it's returning back to my address. Your mindset got to be so abundant. If you let your money get you to the place that you're falling into a bout of depression, or you're thinking like it's never going to happen for you, or every time you get a little piece, it got to go to something somewhere. Guess what? You got to go back, look over your lessons, right? Maybe that was a lesson from your childhood and it just keeps repeating itself. And then you got to figure out, what is the language that I need to change so I can change this piece and know that I already got the lesson. So my money is not insufficient. I have more than enough, right? So I can go on about that all day, girl.
That was good. That was good, Dayna. Have you heard of the artist Toni Jones?
I have not.
So she's an affirmation recording artist. I'll have to send you some songs, but two songs of hers came to mind as you were talking, and one of them is Currency. And so she talks
Mm.
about how money flows, and I mean, it's really fire. I mean, that's everybody's homework. Go listen to Toni Jones. She's not paying me to say this, but go listen to Toni Jones, Currency, and then the other one was Talk to Me Nicely. I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say that you have a conversation with your money, because that's a part of relationship is communication. That's
Yes.
so good. Yes. And I thought about as you were talking, because if you talking to your money nicely, you looking at you checking your coins like Rachel Rogers says, and you are affirming your accounts and talking to your accounts, like that's that's actual. You could do that. That actually helps you with your mindset, and it informs the way that you manage money. But I thought about this statement that as you were talking, and it was what you appreciate appreciates. And so I was
Yes.
looking at your body language, and you were like, "Oh, I just don't have a lot of money." Like it was very defeating, and just no gratitude was involved with it. But if you talking to your money with the smile you just had, and grateful for what you have, because that's really what abundance is about. It's about letting go of worrying about what you don't have and freeing up room and time to appreciate what is right in front of you and doing it.
Absolutely.
I see you got Riley's affirmation sheet behind you, because we big on affirmations over here, but doing it every single day, right? Every single day. You're not going to just go and start talking to your accounts tomorrow and all of a sudden you believe like, oh yeah, okay, now we got a good relationship. It's the repetitive nature that we have to do that. And I'm adding this hack. You just blessed my life. I'm adding the hack. I'm talking to these accounts. Bank of America, y'all like if AI is listening, they gonna be like, what the heck is she doing? I'm talking to these accounts, but it's the repetitive nature that we do it that's gonna help us to elevate our mindset, that's gonna influence our habits, and that's gonna help us set goals that are actually going to sustain. So I can't even add no more to that. That was good, Dayna. That was good. Talk to your money nicely. Put that in the chat. If you listening, talk to that money nicely, and make sure y'all go listen to Toni Jones songs where she has affirmations that talk specifically about what Dayna just shared. All right, so we are going to get into more of the no fluff all action, because I think hopefully the people that are here, we are imparting something on them that's going to change their mind about money. But we also know that we got to get out here and actually take action and do something differently. So you shared a lot of hacks already, but if you had to say there just a few more things of key steps that's going to help people, help them lead themselves to clear and concise financial goals from a personal standpoint and a business standpoint. It doesn't have to be 5, but a few more hacks from the Credit Fix Chick on how they can take, now they have the mindset, how can they take this and start putting it into action right now, today?
Wow. The first step is number one. I'm big on writing things down, right? So your homework today is really this is one of the hardest things for people to do, Candace, because we don't want to see the picture.
Yeah.
You
Got to
know,
face reality.
you got to face reality, but write down your monthly expenses today and be honest with yourself. I just did this exercise myself. Be honest with yourself, because oftentimes when we think about it, just think about it, we're thinking high level, right? But when we got to write it down and we start thinking about, because we don't put in those little nuances, we don't add in those little things. Oh, I took a trip to the grocery store because I just wanted, this, even though I did my grocery shopping. So that would be one thing that I would say, an actionable step today as homework. really take a real full picture view of your expenses, right? And then once you have that full picture view, step number 2 is, what are the things that are most important for you, right? What are the things in those expenses? And I'm not one to tell people, credit is bad, don't use your credit cards. I'm not on that kick. And I'm not on the kick of, don't buy yourself nice things. Those are things that, if that makes you happy, I want you to do what makes you happy. But I also want you to be wise about how you're doing it, right? So the second piece of that is, what's most important for you. If having your, coffee every day is important to you, then circle that. Put a heart next to it. Put a star next to it. Like, these are the things that are most important for me, right? And then the third step would be, these are nice to haves, but I don't really need them, right? So some of those things that we spend money on every month, maybe it's some subscription. It's nice to have, but I don't really need it, right? A wants versus need kind of thing, but not so much like you don't deserve it, right? It's just that it's a nice to have, but I don't really need it. So those 3 things are going to give you a real view where you can pinpoint some of your habits and really decide, what this is what I want to say, what the end of 2024 is going to look like. Because it's not how you start. My brain works kind of in reverse. I'm a reverse engineer kind of girl, right? So let's just say, for example, at the end of 2024, your goal is to save $5,000. Well, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Did you save $5,000 this year? If you didn't, why not? Is your money going to change in 2024 based on what activity is your money going to change in 2024? Right? So if I can start with the end in mind, December 31st, 2024, I want to have XYZ in my feel good savings account, right? My feel good savings account. Well, if I'm still making, let's just say $60,000 a year next year, and I haven't changed any of those money habits because I didn't look at my expenses at the end of 2023, and I didn't say what's important and what's nice to have, then nothing's going to change for 2024. So those will be, the takeaways, the real tangible things that you can do. But set a goal for yourself and let that, I don't know, some people are incentivized. I know I'm one of those girls. I work on incentives, right? Like,
Yep.
and for me, I like to incentivize myself, right? So when I think about a big goal, I say, okay, when I hit this big goal, right? What I want to gift myself at the end of that big goal.
Rewards. Yep.
What are my rewards? How am I going to celebrate because I achieved that goal? I accomplished that thing, right? So going back to, my example of just saving, right? So if my savings goal for the year is $5,000, then where's the $5,000 going to go? Am I just going to be happy that I saved it, or did I designate a place for it to go? Did I tell it it's going to march out, maybe a percentage of it, and it better march back with friends? So all of that ties in for me, but I have to start with the end in mind. So if you know where you want to go, then you can certainly sit down and say, well, this is where I am today, and you can build your roadmap. And I think that's the easiest way for anyone to have a real relationship with their financial picture. Start with your end goal, where you want to be, right? take a reality check of where you currently are and build out that roadmap so that you can have that, goal. You've met that goal and you've also given yourself a reward in some kind of way for meeting that goal.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that I, get excited about.
I love the smile as you talk about this. I can see and feel the excitement through the screen, and you just dropped major bars, because when you first started with the just write down what your monthly expenses are. Like, you can't manage a budget in your head. Like you have to see it on paper and actually know where those pieces are going. So I love that. And then, to your point around like the coffee, right? So put it in your budget, because the scarcity mindset says like don't go spend. But I think we just spend feasibly, right? Like we need to spend based on what the end in mind that you talked about, and then what are some of those things that are going to keep me happy while I carry out this budget. But that's starting with the end in mind. Like, I think that's the step that most people miss.
Mhm.
When I say most people, that's the step that I was missing when I was making all the money mistakes and just mismanaging money. It wasn't a goal, it was survival is what it was. It was I want to survive, or I've never had this much money, so now I'm going to go spend it, and there was no
Mhm.
budget on paper. um I think getting out of survival mode into thrive mode, but we have to make sure that we are working towards a goal. Alicia says that all the time. Start with the end in mind. So I know she's going to hear this and be like, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, no, that was perfect, Dayna. I don't have anything else to add to that, because I think, I don't think that making elaborate 15-step, here's what you do with your money type of plans, I don't think that leads to sustainability. I think it's the small, simple actions and the habits that we create over and over again on a daily basis is what gets us in a different place. So I think you shared it quite perfectly, if I must say so myself.
Well, one of the reasons that we have to think of it that way, Kansas, is because money already has its weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
We shared that when we first got here, how, money is that thing that can cause so many different things to happen between relationships and your, relationship with it, right? And sometimes that's because we look at big picture things and we don't break it down into those small bite-sized pieces that are more tangible, that are more accessible to us, right? And easier to use. If I have to look at a whole big money picture, then I'm like, that's overwhelming,
Yeah.
right? But if I can break it down into these bite-sized pieces, then I'm saying, okay, I can take these, one step at a time type activities and
Mm-hmm.
and look at, I'm still seeing the result is starting to come alive.
Yeah.
Your money shouldn't
Effortless.
overwhelm you.
Yeah, effortless. It does not have to
Effortless.
be hard. It does not have to be hard. Find a way to make it easier for yourself. Perfect. Perfect. So look, we've come to the end, because I could go, right? I know, like, I could go and we could keep talking about this. I can come up with 10 more questions, but first of all, thank you for just the wealth of knowledge that you shared. I was able to take away several things that, even with me managing my money differently over the last several years, there's things that I still have work to do that I was able to take away from you today. And I'm sure everybody watching was able to do the same. I've already committed you to, this is not your first or this is not your last time on a podcast. So this is just part one of the conversations that we're going to be having with the wonderful, beautiful expert that everybody sees on the screen with me today. So thank you, Dayna, again for coming on, sharing this knowledge, and I'm looking forward to more times to do this with you. So as we always end our lives and our podcasts, share with us your last 5 words with the audience. It's the 5-minute career hack. We got to end with 5. In your last 5 words for the audience today.
Grow from where you are. That's my last 5.
Let them use you. That's good. Grow from where you are. Put that in the chat. Put that in the chat. Grow from where you are. I absolutely love that. So listen, you've gotten tips on healing your emotional relationship with money. We debunked a few myths today. We talked about habits. We talked about abundance mindset. And then Dayna gave several tips. I know it was more than 5 tips to help you manage your money better and sustain financial wellness in 2024. So make sure that you leave us a comment. Tell us what resonated with you. If you have questions, put those in the chat. We're going to come back and answer those. But most importantly, share this with your network. Share this with your network. People need to hear this information so that we can be on the road to financial wellness in 2024 and create resolutions around our finances that will actually work. So share this with your network, subscribe, and we appreciate everybody coming on with us today. Dayna, I appreciate you so much. I love you. And you look so good in that nice hoodie as well today.
I love you more, Candace. This has been amazing with your beautiful soul inside and out. Thank you so much for having me on the 5-minute career hack. Shout out to you and Alicia and Jamila. You guys are amazing. Thank you for just sharing all that you guys do.
Awesome. No, we appreciate you being a 5-minute career hack supporter. And you know, we're a Girl Boss Up and Lead supporter as well. So we're going to leave in the show notes the ways that you can reach Dayna to leverage her services, as well as listen to the hacks that she shares on her podcast as well. But again, this won't be the last that you see of Miss Dayna Marie on the podcast. So everybody take care. And Dayna, thank you again.
We have so many hacks to share, so if you haven't already subscribed, you can do that now. And don't forget to leave a review. And if you take a snapshot of your review and send it to us on Instagram, we will send you a premium course that usually sells for $57. We're truly grateful for your reviews, as they play a vital role in helping us spread our mission of sharing these invaluable career hacks with the world. Thank you.